Hello and welcome to another enlightening episode of Wealthish Talks. I'm your host, Rickdrieka Bennett, your marketing and business strategies expert. And today I am thrilled to having a special guest with me. Today we have a special guest joining us by the name of Christine Blaisdell, um, who is a expert authority coach. Christine, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm very honored to be with you. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us. So, Christine, your journey in media and broadcasting in the industry spans for about 20 years or more, and you've worked with some of the most influential figures globally. Could you share with our listeners today how you started in this industry and some highlights from your career?
Absolutely. Maybe this will help some people as well. I started in broadcasting and radio
Ooh.
20 plus years ago by a little bit of a fluke because I was a writer working for America Online. Now you're too young probably to know what America Online was, but for
AOL.
AOL, that squeaky, horrible sound that you would hear before you connect. But back in the day, it was it. Like that was our way of communicating with the outside world, and it was really the Facebook of its time, but
Mhm.
before with no alternatives really. It was just like it was AOL. So um, I was lucky enough to work for them, and I wrote a daily column called the Daily Fix, and it was an
Okay.
entertainment column because I lived in Los Angeles, so it was like a gossip, entertainment, celebrity kind of thing, and I wrote through a cartoon character. I didn't write through Christine. I wrote through this cartoon character because I thought this Hedda Hopper ish character, this very vampy, martini toting, saucy lady would be better to write through than, who cares about Christine? But this character called Beatbox Betty, everybody would really dig. And they did. And it was a very popular column. So I wrote for them for many years, and I went to all the Hollywood premieres and interviewed celebrities and blah, blah, blah. And then 9/11 happened. And it's one of those things when in life, when something happens and you take a look at what you're doing and you're like, really? Like, who cares who Drew Barrymore is dating or Angelina Jolie or what they're wearing? Who cares? It was like the world at that point, it felt like the world was either ending or there was something serious going on.
Mhm.
And a lot of Americans didn't know US foreign policy, didn't know the Middle East, anything. We were just told, be afraid, and all this crazy stuff was happening. So I really just said, I need to reevaluate what I'm doing. And it just so happened I was driving in Los Angeles in traffic, as you do, because there's always traffic. And
Yeah.
I was channel surfing, doing the radio thing, and I found this radio station that was talking about the events of 9/11, but not in the way that the mainstream media was talking about it,
Mhm.
right? Um, Very different. And I was like, this is refreshing. What is this? And it's this little radio station in Los Angeles. It's been there for 60 years.
Oh wow.
Very, nobody knows about it because it's a progressive, it has no commercials. Commercial free, right? So it's
Right.
actually there for the community. It's there for the community. And so they have shows like they had gay and lesbian shows and shows Native American programming and I mean, music and arts and poetry and all this stuff. And so I just went in one day and I just said, I want to thank everybody that works here for their skills and their great talent. And so I did. I drove to the radio station and I just walked inside and I asked if it was okay. And they said, yeah. And so I just walked around and I just went in. I poked my head in anybody's office that was open. I like poked my head in. I said, "Hi, I'm new. I just found you on the radio, and I think you're amazing. And thank you, thank you." And somebody had asked me, "So what is it that you do?" And I was like embarrassed, you know. Whereas before I'd be like, "Oh, I mean, I go to Hollywood parties and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm a writer for AOL. I do an entertainment column. And they said, well, if you ever want to volunteer, because they couldn't pay me at the time, if you ever want to volunteer, we could probably use we could definitely use writers or some help on shows. And I was like, oh, this sounds like something that I could be passionate about and that I
Mhm.
would like. So I did. I just started volunteering. And I didn't know where it would lead to. It was just one of those magical things. And after a couple weeks, somebody was leaving and they said, we've got an opening and it's very no money. I mean, it's like $10 an hour or something. But uh, it was associate producer role, or basically it was just to get my foot in the door. And so I said, yeah, okay, I'll do that. And one thing led to another producer left. I became the senior producer. And then the day when the talent who was supposed to be on air got sick, there was something happened, they couldn't go on air, and the program director said, Christine, you have to go on the air. And I was terrified because I'm a producer, right? I'm a writer, I'm a producer, I'm behind the scenes, I don't do that stuff. And they go, no, you
Oh,
have
wow.
to. They're like, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon and it's drive time traffic and you have to go on. And I didn't have a show prepared. I mean, I had nothing. And so I said, okay. And that on air light went on, and I decided to do listener phone calls, which is always a gamble because you never know. You might get that nice person, but you're also going to get that person who wants to complain, right? Or
Mhm.
cranky, or a crazy person. I'm in LA. So the on air light came on. I was sitting there. You're in a glass case, in a studio, and just something happened. Like I could connect with listeners that I'd never was seeing. I could kind of hear the questions that they would be asking, uh, in my head, and I just started talking. I just started talking, and opened up the phone lines, and had some great conversations, and that was it. I fell in love with the art of audio, the art of radio, and then
Mhm.
eventually the art of interviewing. I started interviewing people, and I love long format interviewing. I just think it's fabulous. So that's how I started. That's a long answer to your question, but the reason why I say it is because you never know what is meant for you, and this is
Mhm.
for jobs, for career, for your life path, for relationships. Sometimes things happen and you go, that's the worst thing that's ever happened to me, but it puts you in line for something greater. And so that's how I got started, and then everything else from there just happened.
I love it. Especially the AOL part. I remember AOL from the little notification telling you got mail.
You've got mail.
And then after that, they made the movie with Tom Hanks, I think, called You Got Mail.
Yeah,
And that's how I can always remember AOL from that,
that's
which is very weird.
that's how
But
we got email back in the day. That's how we that's it. And in the beginning, AOL actually was created, and all the content was created by creators, content
Mhm.
producers in the industry. So it
Right.
would be independent sports writers or independent, you know, entertainment writers. Then they got bought out, I think, by Time Warner, and then it became a big corporate machine. Um,
Mhm.
but the reason why my column did really well is because I was brutally honest. So if I went and saw a movie and it was horrific, if it was bad, I came out with all guns a blazing and I just said, honey, don't waste your ticket, don't waste your money. And people loved it because it was real. It wasn't sugarcoating some really bad movie that you're going to sit through for 2 hours. So I think that was the genius of it in early days, and then it changed, and then I got all messed up. So that's why
And I
TikTok's
think
so great, right?
I honestly think that's the key part to it of understanding one in being true to yourself, you have to be honest. so that
Yes.
and be transparent, because that's how you build relationship with people. So I think
Yeah.
that's amazing, for your journey and how things just started to connect together from a hobby to interest.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess my next, which leads me to your next question. So as an expert authority coach, you have clients, you basically help clients to gain their visibility and attention. So could you tell us more about your coaching style or how it helps your clients to achieve their goals?
Yeah. So, with my experience in radio and broadcasting and podcasting now, I mean, I've had my own, I have a couple podcasts, but I've been doing podcasting for 7 or 8 years. Uh, and what I love to do is to take my client, if depends if they're an author or a coach or consultant or whatever field they're in, if they're in a service industry, especially, I
Okay.
take them and I figure out what the best platform is for them. So some people, they have such a wealth of so much wisdom, so much great experience. Um, we we want them to have a podcast for themselves, right? We want to showcase their skills, and with a podcast, as you know, you can reach people, that you would never be able to meet at a networking event or something locally. It's international,
Hmm.
and you can do that in audio or you can do that in video, or as I train, I coach my clients in both, because video is so important, because
Right.
with that video you can have it on YouTube, of course you can have it all these different places, but also you can cut up snippets of it and repurpose the content for TikTok,
Hmm.
for your Instagram reels and all that stuff. So it's a content machine.
Right.
But it also establishes you as, an expert authority. So I'll take a client, and depending on their skill sets, some people they hate being in front of a camera, kind of like how I was when I was I didn't want to be on the microphone. They don't want to be on camera. So if I know that it's important for them to be on camera, I will go through with them and give them confidence training and also shift the paradigm. So they're not thinking about themselves, how they look or how they're being perceived, but
Hmm.
about the target audience, who you're trying to reach. If you're trying to inspire young people to live a better life, focus on them and not yourself, right?
Right.
So, depending on the client, it'll be either creating a podcast and videos, or it'll be becoming a guest on podcasts so I can train them in that. And then others, they just need help with their branding and their media, their website. I've had some clients that are so skilled and so super smart and so good at what they do, but their website is not reflective of who they are or their personality. So I'll go through that with them. Anything media related, I'll go to their social media and I'll take a look at that and just give them some tips on how they could do better, and show them everything, like how to edit a video, how to get their point across, all that stuff. So it depends on the client. But my
Okay.
style and why I think what sticks with people in their memory is not just the knowledge base. It's because I keep things simple, easy,
Hmm.
and fun. We have fun. If it's complicated, if it's technical, I have a client that's 77 years old,
Oh
and
wow.
she's a master Reiki healer. She's a master hypnotherapist, and she had a little tiny practice in Los Angeles. She wasn't reaching that many people, but she was brilliant at what she did, and a heart like, huge. So I was like, you need a podcast. You need, but a video version as well. And she's from Brooklyn, Barbara Saven. And Barbara is like, oh, I don't know if I could do that. Christine, come on, with the Brooklyn accent. And I go, no, I think you can, because I will show you how to do it a very easy way, and we'll have fun. And lo and behold, she did the 4 weeks training with me, coaching, and she has like over like 90 episodes now. She's on YouTube. She's interviewed Pat Benatar. She's killing it, because she had a passion, but also because she learned in a very simple and easy and fun way, so she could
Mhm.
retain it. You know, right? So that's my style, is to keep it simple, easy, and fun.
And I think that's important because if it's simple, you grab onto it really quick, or you can gravitate to it really quickly. And then if it's fun, it keeps you engaged. So it doesn't feel like you're burning out or that you're really turning it into a job. It's more of a passion. So
Yeah.
I love that method. Um, which kind of leads me to your the next question that I really want to ask you about is I know that you are a two-time international best-selling author and an award-winning media personality. So what lessons have you learned from your experiences as an author and media personality that you've basically kind of incorporated into your coaching?
Well, I'm happy to say that since, and because I have to actually update everything, I've just updated on the website. I am now a 3-time best-selling author, because
Congratulations.
the new book, this one, Podcast Pro, people who are
Hmm.
not watching can't see it. Podcast Pro, a step-by-step guide on how to get booked on podcasts, right?
Okay.
Because all my years being in radio too, I had a lot of people pitch me to be on the show because they're like, I want to be on the radio. I want to be on the radio. And years and years and years of that. And I know what makes a really good guest, right?
Okay.
I know what makes a good guest. And so I give them tips on how to get booked on podcasts, but also radio shows. So
Okay.
that just came out, and that was number one. Was it last week? 2 weeks? 2 weeks ago. So the thing is the important thing is for me is to share. I'm a teacher. I'm a coach, but I'm a teacher. And
Mhm.
the people that influenced me the most when I was younger, other than my grandmother and my mother, were the key teachers in my life. And I had one that was just, she shared her wisdom as well. And that's the thing, is that I think that if you're able to teach people how to create, how to express themselves, and how to showcase themselves, their expert authority, in
Mhm.
a manner that's comfortable for them, then they get to shine. And it's a ripple effect. They get to shine, they get to help others, those others get to shine, and they get to help out. It's that impact. So writing is fun. I love it. I love the whole process of it. But I really enjoy taking someone who is overwhelmed with everything that you have to do in a business, and just showcasing them as best as I can. In other words, bringing out the best in them to make sure that they are reflecting their message to the world. And sometimes that's through a book. Sometimes I encourage people to write a book, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to write a book." I said, "You don't have to write a novel." My books are relatively small. I mean, I said, you don't have to write a novel, um, and repurpose your content.
Yeah.
Take your
'Cause
podcast shows that you do, and you've got interviews with people, and take that content and make them chapters in a book, or course modules in a course that you're teaching. And they're like, "Oh, I can do that." I was like,
mhm.
"Yes." It comes out of your brain. You can make it into a book or a course. Yeah.
And that's something I love that because that's something that I recently did because I do business strategies and marketing. And I took elements from what I speak on from the podcast and I turned it into a 7-chapter book, which is coming
Yes,
out this year.
girl.
So I was like, oh, I love it. And then now I've been doing a lot of video content and talking about AI. So I'm taking those elements and putting that into my second book for the year. So yeah, and I think each book is roughly maybe between 150 to 175 pages.
And
So
that's the
I love
perfect
that
length.
strategy.
Yeah. And that's the perfect length. And and when it comes to creating a best selling, that's something that that's kind of a master course that not a master, I don't know, master training that I'll be doing. But because it's not complicated to become a best selling author. You just have to be strategic, right?
Mhm.
The books that I've written that are bestsellers, they're small books. They're itty bitty books. They're tiny. They don't have a lot of pages. Um, but what it is relying on your network of people, so that when you do release it, and I self publish, like, because I used to go through a publisher, and I don't. I want to have control of everything. I'm a freak when it comes to, like, I want to know my stats. I want to know how many books are being sold, but more importantly, I want to know the reaction to the books. So you can self-publish through Amazon KDP.
Right.
It's brilliant. And when you publish that way, then you have control of when it's going to be released. And just get as many people as you can to buy the Kindle version. People are not going to necessarily, my friends and family and my uncles are not going to necessarily, even though they love me, they're not going to necessarily pay $24.95 or $19.95, whatever,
Mhm.
for a paperback. But I can get a lot of people to do 99 cents, right? Or $1.99 or $2.99. A lot of people will go, I want to help you become a best-selling author. And that's how you do. You pitch it that way. Help me become a best-selling author today. Just for $2 or 99 cents, you can help me. And people want to help you. They
Mhm.
just are like, oh, it's $1, right? I could do that. Even strangers will go, oh, give her $1, so she can become a best-selling author. And that's what I did. And for 24 to 48 hours, you just hit your social medias, hit your email list with the link to the Kindle. Don't send them don't say go look on Amazon for my book. Send them the link that you want them to actually click and buy. Click and buy.
Right.
And you'll see, and especially if you can put it in a category that's not overwhelmed with submissions, right?
Mhm.
I just checked this book. This book has been out for a couple weeks now. I just checked. It's still #1 new release under publicity, which
Oh
is
wow.
interesting because it is a category. I put it under the category of publicity, but also podcasting, and that was a bestseller under podcasting, the category, but it's still listed as #1 new release in publicity because nobody's writing publicity books.
Yeah, and I think that's the key too, because I even with my area, I do marketing and business strategies. No one is labeling their content as business strategists or
Yeah,
marketing strategists. So when you're using certain keywords that are directly towards your niche, then it's better instead of going into a general category.
exactly. Exactly. And just when you release that book, just hammer your people. Say, come on, and follow your tracking. Look, you can see where your book is in the bestseller list. You
Hmm.
can see where it is. And I've had books where I've been in number 11th place, and
Hmm.
I send out an email blast and I go, I'm currently number 11, and there's 11 people in my audience that could purchase this Kindle, this ebook.
Well,
And they
currently,
do.
so my first book, I'm actually going through a publisher, which I submitted a pitch for the book. They loved it and they decided to take it on. But I still own all the rights to the book and everything like that. So it's just me writing the book, and then they do
Good.
all of the rest
If
of
they
the
do the
work.
marketing and everything,
Yeah, so they'll do the marketing for the first 3 months, and then afterwards, I'll have to pick up the marketing for it. But yeah, so that's what I did for the first one. But the second one, I may shift towards it. But yeah, they do my author website. They do marketing for 3 months. They make sure that it's in major stores like Target. I know the stores that they're putting it in is Target, Barnes and Noble, Walmart. Is going to be on Amazon, and then there are other outlets that is going to be on as well. So
wow. So
um,
is it out there now, or it's in the process?
it's in the process. So I just found they just submitted me the draft of the cover on
That's
yesterday. So I have
exciting.
to
Oh,
go through
that's
the process
exciting.
of approving and giving feedback for that. And then they should be sending me back their editorials to see what I think of what they did for the edits. And once I approve that, everything will go forward.
That's exciting. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
It's a
But
very
I am gonna try that Katie
yeah,
the other route too.
yeah, well, even because when it's listed on Amazon, because that's the easiest, that's the most popular way, right?
Mhm.
And if it goes to #1 in the category, then you can say you're an Amazon #1 best-selling author, right? Which has a
Right.
lot of expert authority. uh, but when it's listed on Amazon and the Kindle version is there, that's where you can start. You could do a campaign. Even if just do your own campaign too. Just to get, hey, Uncle, come on, buy my ebook and help me become a #1. and
Right.
then just track it and just look and just keep looking, keep refreshing and looking at your stats in
Hmm.
Amazon. And as soon as it hits number one, girl, you start taking screenshots of that puppy. Just and then share it with your, share it with your listeners, share it with your social media friends, your people on Facebook, or say, hey, you helped me, thank you, you helped me become a best-selling author. People love that. They do. They want to root for the winning team, right?
I
So
love
that's
it.
that's important. Yeah.
And I love that
Congratulations though.
strategy. Thank you. So I guess because of that, and I love that being in love with that strategy. Is that kind of like one of your approaches to working with like thought leaders, coaches, best-selling authors, and social media influencers?
I tend to, because I work intuitively, although I don't market myself as an intuitive business coach or expert authority coach. I don't have a crystal ball, but that said, when I'm working with somebody, I'll see or hear or whatever, feel the easiest way or the best route for them.
Hmm.
Um, I have some clients that have been sitting on like really valuable content for years, and they've never written a book. And before I take them down the podcast road, even though I love helping people create their own podcast, I will encourage them to get that book written, or at least to get the content ready for that. But it just depends on the person. Sometimes I'm like, this that's not the path that they should go down. Let's
Hmm.
just start with this, right? Let's just start with getting them comfortable in front of a camera. Especially
So,
because, especially women, and that's 99.9% of my clients
mhm,
are women. I have a mastermind. We meet every 2 weeks, and I have one male mastermind member, but most of my clients and my mastermind group, they're all women. It's because we finally are getting that we are creators
mhm.
and master manifestors. And I think COVID really pushed that to the brink. So we're like, you know what? I'm coming out. not coming out of the closet necessarily, but yeah, coming out of the closet too. But just really just saying, you know what? I want to express myself. I want to share my gifts. I need to communicate. I need to speak it. So that's why I love my clients. They're beautiful. Absolutely.
So with that, how do you kind of stay up to date with like the industry trends and innovations so that you can incorporate that with your clients?
Because I use those things too. So with AI and Chat GP, I'm going to be speaking on a panel, this really cool panel, the AI Writing Summit.
Hmm.
I'll send you that information too if you like. But
Okay.
uh, I keep on top of it too because I use AI technology. We all do already, but we just don't know
Hmm.
it. But I use a lot of AI technology on repurposing videos, things that would have taken me, forever to do. I can throw it into a program and take a long format video and chop it up into really cool highlights, have captions, have it be ready for TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. I go through the motions. I do this stuff so that I know how to teach it to my clients, and
Hmm.
I can say this is the easy way to do it. This is the hard way to do it. You want to do it the hard way, you could do it the hard way, but this is the easy way to do it. And Chat GPT, all those things. It really helps. And with Chat GPT, though, I do tell people I don't use Chat GPT to create content. I will take content that I've created and I'll throw it into Chat GPT and give it really specific instructions.
Hmm.
So, one of my books, it's written sort of like in a Marvel superhero kind of style,
Okay.
about how to use podcasting as your marketing superpower, and I'll take my content that I've already written and I'll throw it into Chat GPT and I'll say add elements of a superhero, you know Superman, Batman kind of lingo, um, to bring out the points, and then it'll spit something out. And Chat GPT, sometimes it'll spit something out and you're like, that is so bad. Like like you would get a
Yeah.
fail if I was judging you, if I was, And then other times you say that's not right. Try it again.
Hmm.
You can try it again with less really bad humor. And you just have to know how to give it the cues, the prompts. If you know how
Hmm.
to give it the right prompts, then you can come up with some really cool stuff, and it'll give you some ideas as well. That's what I love ChatGPT. It's cool.
Yeah, I use Chat GPT, but then I also use Claude AI. So I kind of use both of them, and I go back and forth between them. They're very similar in ways, but
Yeah.
I feel like Claude AI has more of a human voice than
Ah.
Chat GPT.
So what is
So
it called? What is it called? Claude?
yeah, it's Claude AI.
Who came up with that name?
I don't know, but I
As a,
like
if in
it.
marketing, I'd be like, no, girl, no, we can't use that. That's so Claude, like
Mhm.
C.
Like literally like the name Claude AI is
Yeah,
CLAUDE.
yeah,
Yeah.
Claude. Great name. I'll check it out though. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, so I definitely use it. I feel like the responses come back faster because sometimes like with ChatGPT, it does this little refresher thing and you have to resubmit what you put in and things like that. But Claude is a little faster um than other software. So I play around with different AI platforms to see what happens
Yeah,
and how they can be effective for my clients. Um
love it.
so, could you share some of your strategies for effectively building and maintaining visibility in today's competitive landscape?
Mm, yes. So, and it can be frustrating. It can sometimes feel daunting.
Hmm.
The thing that I always say is keep going, keep
Yes.
going. When sometimes when if you're a solopreneur, you're all by yourself. You're in your office or your home office, and you're just pounding on the keyboard, and you're like, I'm trying, I'm not getting anywhere. Nobody's listening. Like some people, the most common amount of episodes that people do before they quit a podcast is
Hmm.
7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, people will do about 7 episodes and they go, I'm not getting anywhere. My listenership isn't going up. My stats aren't great, and so I'm just going to give up because this is a waste of time. Well, first of all, if you're going to do a podcast, you have to think about it as like getting a new puppy. You got
You
to
have to
walk the
train
puppy. You got
it.
to feed the puppy. You got to train the puppy. You got to love the puppy, but you got to spend time with it. And so with the podcast, it's not just like it's the same thing with a book. You can't just write a book and just expect millions of people to know about it.
Hmm.
So the thing is staying at it, whatever it is. And if you have to love it. You have to be passionate about it. If you hate the process, it's going to be torture. But you need to keep up with it and try different venues, try different things, and whatever feels good, feels fun, feels good, then stick to that and be consistent. And so that's like I mean, I for the longest time I dug my heels in about TikTok. I was like, I am not going to do TikTok. That's for little teenagers dancing, and I love it. No, I I love it. The algorithm is such that it's so clever.
Hmm.
I get some really great content that as a consumer, as a viewer, I get some things that I can't ever get anywhere else. There's a lot of crap on there too. There's a lot of, you know, bad stuff, weird stuff, but there's a lot of really, man, there's creative people. It is just, you see how human beings are, at how bloody talented and smart and clever and creative that they are. So find that thing. The thing with me, Facebook is okay, for like your family, your aunts and your uncles and grandma and you know and all of that. But finding new people to be excited about your content, I love TikTok for that.
Yeah, I think part of it is for me and my strategy is I post reels on all the time on TikTok, but I never really go live. But this year or this quarter, I'm actually going to challenge myself to actually go live on TikTok twice a week so
Good
that
for
I'm
you.
building up that momentum because I was like, TikTok live algorithm is really pushing things up, even though, the US is getting ready to try to ban it.
Doesn't that tell you something?
Yeah.
Do you know the U.S. the Congress and the House of Representatives and all the Senate and everything? They could focus all of their efforts on ending poverty, hunger, homelessness, uh, violence, and they all got together and they're like, nope, it's TikTok. It's TikTok.
Well, it's just specific people, and I think it's weird of how we're. Well, let's shift. So it's specific people, and it's really the Senate is not even voting on it right now. Right now, the Senate is like, we have all of this debt. We need to focus on this debt that we have, and see how we're going to do that and prevent layoffs. However, the House is like, yeah, let's go on and try to fast forward this and make them sell it to a U.S. this
So
and
that they
that.
can control it. Yeah,
Basically, that's what it's about. It's basically about control. Um,
absolutely.
which I think is really interesting because one of the senators got up on the floor and he was like, "You guys are up here complaining about TikTok being outside of the U.S., but all of our other stuff." With data and things like this is outside of the US. Our phones, our chips are made outside of the US, our clothes, our cars, but you want to control a platform. So I was like, that's the right senator.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Well,
but that's
because the news is, I know because I'm living in Australia right now, but it's the same. It's the same worldwide. Is is the news that you get on television and all that? It's controlled. It's manipulated. They're going to tell you what they want you to see, here. And Facebook and Instagram. First of all, Instagram is owned by Facebook, and Facebook, it was they got your information. You could be in your car saying, oh my goodness, the baby we need to go get some diapers at Costco for the baby. And then all of a sudden you're seeing ads on your phone for diapers and for baby formula and
Mhm,
baby stuff. And you're like, what? They've been listening to you, but because it's not them that's listening to you, right? It's
right.
somebody, it's some other country, but it's also because of the content, because there's some really uh there's people that are like going to that when the whole thing happened in Hawaii, there were people out there on TikTok doing lives in Hawaii going, "Why does it look like this? Why does a wildfire incinerate metal?" Like people were asking questions, and they're like, "Oh no, 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 no! Don't ask any questions." But yeah, I hope TikTok stays around because also it's a livelihood for millions of people. People have
Yes.
their businesses that they've created businesses through it. So I hope it stays up. But if not, we'll create something else. We'll figure out another way to telepathically communicate with each other.
Yeah, I love it because with TikTok, when COVID happened, that's what really helped people to get started with becoming business owners was TikTok
Yes.
and Facebook Shop. But then Facebook Shop kind of dwindled down, and people just stick to everything on TikTok Shop. So I think that it's something that they should definitely keep because it will impact people who have created their businesses on a
Yeah.
platform and things like that. But Miss Christine, I the
Yes.
my next question that I have for you is, can you tell us a little bit more about your book that you have that's made you your third time best-selling author,
Ah.
and give us some highlighting points about it, and then also let the audience know how they can find you.
Oh, absolutely. So, well, and I will tell you the two books that I think that the podcast pro is the
Hmm.
latest one, right?
Okay.
And that's that one. Podcast Pro, a step-by-step guide on how to get booked on podcasts and much more. The Kindle version too, on Amazon. The cool thing about the ebook version or the Kindle version, the links that I have links that I include in it, and they're all
Okay.
clickable through that. Where as a paperback, it doesn't have the clickable links, right? So you have to go there on your own. Um, But what I like about it is it goes through every single thing that I tell my clients about their website. And if they don't have a website and they want to be a guest on a podcast, if they don't have a website, uh, at least have a one page, like have something that you can direct people to. That's the most important thing, right? And then the other one that is super important is podcastonomics. And podcastonomics is basically, this is written for the beginner, the person who wants to create a podcast but is overwhelmed by the whole process. And this book is really important for people to get their foot in the door. And we just break it down. We break down everything. I go through the whole puppy analogy as well. And then giving people some tips and tricks on how to get started and things that they need to consider. And the most important thing, of course, really is, well, your passion, but also having a really good microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Because how you sound is everything when it comes to podcasting, right? So having a really good microphone and a few pieces of equipment, but nothing breaking the bank, something, the basics that you want to have. And people can find out, get the books or find out more about the work that I do. They can go to christineblasdale.com, but they
Okay.
can also go to expertauthoritycoach.com, which is sometimes easier to remember than Christine Blasdale, and they go, how do you spell it? So expertauthoritycoach.com is the website they can go to.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Christine, for sharing your wisdom and your experience with us today. And to all of our listeners, I hope you've gained a valuable insight in building authority and visibility and a wealth of knowledge. Until next time, stay tuned on your journey for success. And to those who are continuing on and understanding what wealth is and knowing that wealth is not just financial, it's about the habits that we cultivate and the positive changes that we make in our lives. Stay stay positive, stay in your passion, and stay in your power on your entrepreneur journey.